Today, I'm going to be featuring the Work Tuff Gear. Look how big this knife is. The Work Tuff Gear Hemlock Aries. Now, this is a prototype knife. They're going to be going in full production real soon. So, the question that has been posed is this. We all know that big knives are capable of doing large tasks. But can this big knife do small tasks? Now, I always look back in my memory bank, the little file card catalog, and I remember outdoor legend and just the godfather of modern bushcraft and survival, Ron Hood. This is what Ron Hood had to say about big and little knives.
I've been teaching wilderness survival for over 40 years. And in all of that time, I visited a lot of different primitive tribes. And among those primitive tribes, one thing stands out in every case. They all use a big knife. Why? Because a big knife could do a small job, but a small knife cannot do a big job.
With what Ron said, I thought I would challenge myself. So, I got me a stick. I've got the Hemlock Aries. I'm going to attempt to do a tri-stick with this 3-pound piece of steel. Before we do that, I'm going to cut away. We'll do a quick specs rundown, then we'll jump right into that task. First, let's start out by shaping this stick a little bit rounder. Alright, we got it rounded out. Now we're going to start on our basic tri-stick. So the first one I'm going to do is on the end is a scraper. So let me see how I can do some push cuts here. And of course, you know, everywhere I film has noise. It doesn't matter where I'm at, whether it's the woods or here at the house. Now, keep in mind, this is more, obviously, 3 pounds of steel. It's going to be a chopper, more like an axe. I wanted to challenge myself with this just to see what I could do. And I put it out there for everyone out there that has knives. Just practice. Whether you're out in the woods or in your backyard, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're working on those skills and you're perfecting those skills. But as you can see, the first one came out pretty good. So the next that we're going to do is where we cut a circle and then we basically make like a pin on here. And just be careful that you don't cut yourself. I've been practicing these skills for a long time, but you know, there's still accidents do happen. Make sure you're not distracted when you do this stuff. And of course, the planes are working double time today. But that beats 50-mile-an-hour winds up in the local mountains any day of the week. So let me come back when I have this pretty close to being complete. I'll tell you right now, this is probably one of the toughest challenges that I've ever gave myself to do with this big of a knife. 3 pounds of steel, 1/4 inch. But you guys want to know the capabilities of this blade. You already know that it's going to chop. It's going to go crazy town on logs. It's just having the hand strength right now to hold it. But I'm going to do a lanyard trick that I learned from Jaime. How to take a little bit of weight off this knife and maybe balance it out a little bit while we're carving. So now we got two. We got the pin or the dowel on the end and the scraper. Not bad. Next, I think I'm going to attempt to do the pod hook. So what we would do is basically carve an X in here, and then let me see if I can get my knee in here without cutting myself, because I got to get a little bit of leverage, just enough to get a line going. Now safety is always going to be paramount doing these projects. And then basically I'm going to carve almost like a little hawk's bill in this. I'm going to use the weight of the knife rocking back and forth to kind of sear that edge a little bit. Try it left-handed. And then we'll cut away and we'll come back after I give you a progress update. I ain't gonna lie, this is taking me a while to do this. You gotta be careful because I'm splitting the wood, because I'm applying too much pressure, because it's such a sharp angle on this knife for good reason, because it's meant to split. But it's taken me probably about a good half hour. And I think this was a 2x6. I think it's a piece of fur. Whatever it is, it's tough. But after about a half hour, let me see if I can get the camera to focus here. This is what I'm looking at. It's taking me a little while, but we got it. Now, the next one we're going to do is where I'm going to basically score 2 lines, and then I'll carve out this center to make like a cube in there. Exercising caution as always. Never put my thumb in line with the edge. I'm going around, I'm scoring this, and then I'm gonna try to whittle out some of that middle part to be able to make kind of like a bar, like either a rectangle or a square bar going across. That's the plan anyway. So we're going to start carving. As always, I'll come back in a little while with an update. Here's where I'm at. Current update. This isn't complete yet. Been whittling along and wound up taking out a big piece off the back. There's a pretty steep angle on this grind because it's 1/4 inch thick, and obviously it's for splitting, chopping, stuff like that, doing these fine tasks. It's really challenging my skills. Altogether so far, just these 4 tasks have taken me probably about 45 minutes. But I had to put the lanyard on. This is a technique that Jaime has illustrated in a couple of videos, and it's really helped kind of counterbalance out the knife, because after 45 minutes of doing detailed carving, the weight was kind of messing with my hand and my wrist. So by putting this short lanyard on, taking a little bit of weight off, it's really helped. It's almost feels like I'm using it now as a lever, and I have the balance maybe about weight distro about 60-40 right now, and it just doesn't feel as heavy. So that's definitely a plus. But I'm going to cut away. I'm going to keep carving on this, and then I'll show you when I'm done with this challenge. Right now I'm just trying to square everything up a little bit. Devil's always in the details, right? I must say that I got this knife from Eric from Outer Limitless, and it came really sharp. Scary sharp. So Eric, props out, buddy. Your knife sharpening skills are off the chain. So let me try to just dress it down here just a little bit. All right, here we go, folks. There's a wooden beam. Now the next one I think I'm going to do, which is going to be a final one, is going to be here, where it's going to be cut like this, but I'm going to have it flat in the center, and then there'll be a hole in there. Hopefully I can do that with the tip of this blade once I get it all roughed out. So back into my mode of cutting a line to follow. Basically, yeah, I don't want to cut on the sides, so I'm just going to cut top and bottom. So I'm going to rock it back and forth, and then I'll flip it over, do the same thing, because I want to keep the meat, I want it to be as wide. And then we'll do it here. If I had a smaller knife, I'd probably make this a little bit smaller, but with this big knife, I need room in this area right here to make this work. So, as always, let me cut away, and we'll come back, give you an update here in a little bit. Oh, here we go. We got the weed whacker going now next door. Life in suburbia. Well, we're getting there. So I have, set the knife down here. I have the platform cut. Now I just have to put a hole in here. Not bad. Here's my co-host trying to train to be able to take him out in the woods. His name's Hunter. He's a little Shiba Inu. So hopefully with a little bit of training, he's just turning 1 year old on February 28th. So hopefully I'll be able to start taking him out in the woods, and hopefully he won't run off on me. I'm hoping my wife's like, you're not going to take that dog out there. But yes, I am. Eventually, he's going to be my trusty sidekick going out in the woods. My baby, yeah. So, here's Hunter being introduced to the World Wide Web. Love this little boy. Now for some final thoughts on the Hemlock Aries by Work Tuff Gear. First off, and I've said it 100 times in this video already, this is a huge piece of steel right here. I must say, and I ain't gonna lie, my arm is tired from trying to do this tri-stick over the past over an hour here in the backyard, and the wind's kicking up here now. I can only imagine in the mountains. That's why I was like, no, with gas $5 a gallon, I'm sorry guys, gas is $5 a gallon here in San Diego. You're gonna drive up there, high winds, pine cones dropping everywhere. It's gonna be like just landmines and grenades falling everywhere. But the show must go on. We made it happen. When I first got this blade, the voice in the back of my head started talking to me of what Ron Hood always used to say. And I know I played it at the beginning of the video. I'm going to play it again for you right now.
I've been teaching wilderness survival for over 40 years. And in all of that time, I visited a lot of different primitive tribes. And among those primitive tribes, one thing stands out in every case. They all use a big knife. Why? Because a big knife could do a small job, but a small knife cannot do a big job.
Just like Ron Hood said, a small knife or a big knife can do a small task, but a small knife can't do a big task. So that was the challenge for me. I'm always wanting to challenge myself to make my skill set get a little bit better. So the challenge was, could I do a tri-stick? So got out my piece of wood. I found a 2x6 I had laying around here in the backyard. Cut it down. Here's one of the other pieces. And started whittling on it. And I must say, the fur that I bought, it's pretty robust. And it was hard to carve. It was definitely hard to carve. So the challenge was really out there to see how well this would do. Now we're talking about, this is a knife that's 16 inches. We have a 1/4 inch thick piece of SK85 steel. We have a 20-degree grind on here with a convex edge. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, we could do this. So I was thinking about how I was going to lay this out, and I said, you know what, Morse Kazansky with a tri-stick, that's the best way. That's something that a lot of people out there know. So whittling, fine tasks with this knife definitely can be done, as I proved with this. Now, if you want to see big knife tasks with this blade, Eric from out of Limitless did a great review on this actual blade. This is the prototype, and this is traveling to different reviewers. So I was the second stop. I'm going to forward it off to the next reviewer. They're going to do their sort of mayhem with this blade. Hunter thinks outside the box. When I saw this on the Work Tough Gear Facebook forum, I reached out to Hunter. I'm like, dude, I have to review this blade. I love unique, just crazy town profile knives, and this one was calling to me. So he said, hey, I have it traveling around. I can send it to you, then you send it on. I'm like, let's do this. So Eric did his review. He's slicing and dicing and batoning and just going crazy with big stuff. Links will be in the description. I'll also link his video, pin it in the comments down below. So just the inspiration from Ron Hood got me thinking, how's that going to carve notches? How's that going to carve if I have to make a tent stake or a dowel or other things? And this being 3 pounds of steel, I was like, man, that's pretty ambitious. So I had to employ a technique that Jaime, who is my buddy on the channel, my archery guru, but he also is big into knives, and he likes doing the lanyard on the end, choking it up on your forearm, and it takes a lot of weight off these big knives. So I did the same thing, and as you can see, so we're looking at the weight. We're talking in the 3 pound category. Let's find the center point on this knife. So right where the cutting edge starts is pretty much the center point on this blade. And I'm guesstimating that that's going to be about maybe a 55 45 split, which is perfect when you're chopping, when you're having to split something to get that weight forward. Let's talk about a little bit of the geometry of this blade. I like the step. It gives enough weight forward. Kind of reminds me a little bit of that Punisher tracker style look, and a lot of people just love that sort of style. When I saw that, I was like, man, I could see a freaking action hero using this blade. Has a fuller line in there. They call them bloodlines. Has a lanyard hole, and obviously 2 lanyard holes. You have a nice finger choil in the front. You have your hand guard here. You have Coke bottle style grips with blue liners that just pop. It's just beautiful. And those are G10, and they have just enough texture on these scales where you have a lot of control. Now, obviously you can choke up on this blade. Has a nice little finger notch there and a sweep there. So my middle finger and ring finger fit perfect. Then you come back for the regular grip, and then for chopping you can come back in what I call that back seat grip, and you're always going to want to have a lanyard on for that. You do not want this knife getting away from you. Pommel on the blade, nice and robust. Be good for scraping, good for breaking things, coconuts, and just pulverizing stuff down to tinder. If you're looking to make fire starter, the jimping on this blade is perfect. It's not aggressive. It's notched just fine. You guys know, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, I do not like to wear gloves. I like to be able to feel what I'm doing, that sense of touch. And with gloves, I don't have that. So I really like jimping that's not too aggressive. And that thumb ramp is perfect, especially when you're able to choke up and you get just the webbing between the thumb and the index finger right in there. You get really nice control on this blade. You have a 20-degree angle on the cutting edge with a convex grind. I think for the purpose of this blade being that crossover between a knife and an axe, that is perfect for this, because when you're chopping, it's getting in there, then the angle splits the wood just enough to where your cutting edge isn't hitting all the way down. So that makes it really nice. Just a beautiful blade overall. So with that, folks, I'm so happy to be able to bring this video to you. I thank you so much for watching, and folks, I'll see you on the next video. Take care out there.